Hello, and welcome to BespokeUnit. I'm Rafael, and today I am here with the Seiko SKX009K2. Now, you may be asking yourself, what do all those numbers and letters mean? Well, it refers to this being a Pepsi Seiko, more specifically, one that's on this Jubilee bracelet that you see here, and one that was made outside of Japan. Anyways, I'm going to be going over all those details and much more in this review, so let's get started. And here it is on my wrist, the Seiko SKX009K2. And you can see on this Jubilee bracelet specifically, I think it wears really, really well. The proportions look great. This, and I'll get into the dimensions in a second, but this is generally, this case size is bigger than what I'm used to. However, it doesn't feel, like an oversized watch, at least not on my wrist. However, it wouldn't fit there under the cuff of this button down. But I do like how it wears. I think the Jubilee bracelet, or Jubilee-style, let's say, because I believe Jubilee is a Rolex term, at least on watch bracelets. It does look quite formal, and certainly for a dive watch, supposed to be a very, very sporty timepiece, and I think it looks, you could definitely rock it with this kind of style, this shirt, a nice button down, a nice blazer. But that's it on the wrist. Let's get a closer look. Now, I was mentioning in the intro about the reference. So again, SKX009 just means SKX Pepsi, obviously speaking to the bezel there. The K speaks to the timepiece being made outside of Japan. And how can you tell? Well, I can show you quickly right here. This is an SKX009J. Don't mind the straps. I'll get into that in a second. You can see there at the bottom of the dial it says made in Japan. Whereas this one says nothing. Well, it does say something. It says 7S26. That speaks to the caliber, the movement. So does this Japanese version on the right side of the index there. Actually, where the minute hand is pointing exactly. So that's why this is a K version. And then the 2 speaks to this Jubilee bracelet, which you can buy. This is an original bracelet, is what I'm trying to say. Whereas this one, being a Japanese version, would be an SKX009J1. The one being referring to the strap here. Now, let's get into the dimensions. If you search online, you'll probably find many or most people refer to this as a 43mm watch. You can see I'm measuring here pretty much right across the case, and it's closer to 42 in this case. Generally, the measurement I've found is 42.5. So maybe I'm not getting it quite right. But yeah, 42.5 is probably closer. I do believe that 0.5 millimeter makes a difference. Again, if you had told me if I could, if I would like to purchase a 43mm watch, I would have said no. A 42.5 I would have also said no. That's usually too big for me, but not in this SKX. Again, the proportions are great. Continuing on with the dimensions, lug to lug is going to be around 46. Again, not a small watch by any means, but proportions are everything. And especially on this bracelet where it tightens down around the wrist and it holds pretty snugly, it wears beautifully for a larger side watch. Lastly, thickness around 13.4 millimeters. One last measurement here I always like to give. The lug to lug, or the strap size in this case, is going to be 22 millimeters, which is a pretty universal strap size. You certainly won't have any issue finding replacement straps for this. Now, taking a look at the case, this is a standard SKX case. If you're not familiar with it, obviously crown at 4 o'clock, crown guards, polished case flanks. You have brushed lugs, or the top of the case is brushed, and you have your knurled bezel here, obviously unidirectional because it's a diver's bezel. There are some complaints online as far as QC where the bezel, it isn't super precise. I think for the price, you really can't expect too much more. And of course, super important to many, or at least to some who potentially consider themselves avid divers, is to have the luminous pip there at the top of the bezel in case you're in low light conditions, you'd still be able to tell, you know, where you first set your bezel to. Moving on, well, before moving on, this does have a Hardlex crystal, which is scratch resistant and also shatterproof, so you need not worry about banging the face of the watch against I don't know, doors or desks or something like that, or really anything, and having it shatter, because that's not going to happen here. I do like to kind of reflect the light on the side of the bezel here so that you can get a better idea of what the hue on this red is, because the blue looks almost like black here in the camera, and the red doesn't really look as bright as it really is. I think that's probably coming through better there, saying the red and the blue. What doesn't come through in the camera very well is the color of the dial, which is actually a dark blue. It likely looks like black here, even if I try to angle it. But again, in person, it's clear. Not only the dial, the inside rehaut, that internal dial there is also blue. You can see we have white minute markings, large, almost oversized indices here, the hour indices with plenty of lume. You can see I just cover it up a little and it starts shining already. Hands are the same deal. Well, they're polished steel. You can see they're quite shiny. Again, super legible with tons of lume, and of course the traditional SKX double two-toned seconds hand. Now, one thing here on this piece, which again is likely one of the biggest disadvantages, is that you'll note that it's not ticking. The seconds hand isn't going, and that's because this watch has been sitting for a little bit, and I'm not able to hand wind it because this is an older style or an older movement. Usually you will have here, I just unscrewed the crown, which again, it does have a screw down crown, which allows the watch to have 200 meters water resistance. However, the caliber does not have a hand winding feature. Here, you can listen. Did you hear anything? Probably not. If this had a hand winding, you would have heard me be able to wind the movement here. Unfortunately, it doesn't. So what that means is if your watch has been sitting for a while and you want to put it on and set the time correctly, you're going to have to sit here and wind it. And you can't help but feel silly doing this. Imagine doing it on camera. But there you go. See, the time does start ticking again. So I'm at position 0. I go to position 2 where we can set the time. And at position 1, I rotate clockwise to set the day, counterclockwise to set the date. Now you can see that this is dual language, obviously English, and to be quite honest, I'm not 100% sure what that other language is, so I won't try to guess, but you could see that the Saturday and Sunday aren't different colors, and that's actually something that's occurs across most SKXs, if I'm not mistaken, and even into the new model line that replaces the Seiko 5 Sports. Again, with that screw down crown, this does have 200 meters water resistance, so this watch could potentially be ISO certified. However, it's an individual certification, and Seiko didn't want that kind of, didn't want to take that cost on themselves. Moving on to the bracelet, you can see it's a Jubilee style. Now this one's got a bit of wear on it, so it's quite jangly, let's say. However, even when these bracelets are brand new, they still have plenty of play with them. You'll wear them and you'll hear that clanking, which you get used to, and personally, I've kind of come to like it. I don't know, it makes it sound more like a tool watch, let's say, and less like a piece of jewelry. And there you have it. That's our review of the Seiko SKX009K2. Now, if that left you with any questions or comments, make sure to leave them in the section below. Give us a like or a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video and found it helpful. And as always, subscribe to our channel for more watch reviews and men's lifestyle content. If you're looking for pricing on this watch, given that this model is now discontinued and you may find it either as in a dead stock condition or used or heavily used or anywhere in that spectrum, check the link in the description and you'll be able to see what they're going for today. As always, I'm Rafael. This is Bespoke Unit. Thanks for watching.